I, for one, have really been enjoying Lonesome Blue, a band who've been popping up on a lot of people's radars recently as something of a more produced, sheeny, poppy, kind of fun alternative to groups like Love Bites and Nemophila, who've been rocking very actively in a lot of our headphones for quite a while now. However, how does this new song Face the Fear stand up as they go into a much more heavy territory and get closer to their counterparts? Well, I'm a little bit late reviewing this one, but let's find out. To really unpack this one, we have to do three very important things. First of all is to assess it just really as a song, especially as a rock song that's going up against some very, very creditable peers. And then we have to look at it for its poppy sheen. How does it get and really sort of take advantage of those more produced qualities that make Lonesome Blue such a fun, outgoing and, kind of accessible band? And then in the end, we'll put it all together and ask ourselves the question, does this really marry together to make something that, works? Well, as a rock song, it's great. I mean, it's good. Okay. I really liked it. It might not exactly be something that a lot of hard rock fans will necessarily warm up to, but it does have all the ingredients you need. It comes in with a really tearing guitar riff. It is very sort of powerful and energetic. It has a lot of speed. It goes through a lot of those big melodies that we're used to hearing from bands like Love Bites, who I've mentioned, and yet at the same time does have that sort of grit and power that you expect from bands like Nemophila. So in all of the ways that you want it to be a rock song, it does work. Now, it delivers that with a good sort of chorus as well that is quite catchy but doesn't lose the energy. It doesn't sort of sway too much into a needs to play for a pop chorus or really sound like a single, as with songs like Welcome to Heavenly Secret Base, it's a long title, which was definitely playing for a much more poppy vibe. No, this song keeps its rock energy throughout, and really it also adds that using something of a very sort of solo heavy bridge where that they're taking advantage of the musicians they have on hand to do something that sounds powerful and again just rocks along throughout. So in all of those ways, I think that it is good. And as well, it needs to be said that the lead singer, sorry, I never remember people's names, the lead singer is able to deliver a good, powerful vocal performance as well, which is very much key to a lot of these groups and the peers of theirs that I had mentioned previously. So yeah, as a rock song, it really works. Now, from a more poppy perspective, this song isn't really leaning on those poppy elements as much as you would perhaps expect in any real obvious ways. I mean, as I mentioned previously, this is not a big catchy chorus in the sort of way that's going to really get it airplay. It's catchy enough, really, is what I would say. And it's pretty low on sort of extra sounds coming in. There's not like much in the way of keyboards or, sort of session musicians brought in to make the sound a little bit more flowery and accessible to non-rock audiences. No, it is very much at its core a rocky sound. And yet it can't be avoided that this song has something of a tweeness to it. That I found out recently, or a few years ago actually, when I said that on this channel. That's very much an English slang, but something about it which is very sort of kind of inoffensively sweet and innocent. It doesn't quite have the rocky edge in its personality, and some of that comes across from the fact that the production, the mix, it does keep the guitars quite low. Now, I've got no problem with that. Clarity is a great thing, and I love the fact that even though these guitars are angry and growling sounding, they're kind of kept in a way that you can hear the whole arrangement. That's nice, but it might not be something that necessarily appeals to people who are into the sort of hard rock that this is playing to sound like. Also, on top of that, the lyrics... now, this is not totally uncommon in Japan. I'm not going to say a single Lonesome Blue out here, but the lyrics do occasionally wander into slightly cringy territory. There is a lot of English language in here, and I've got total respect for any band who's singing in a second language. That's something that I've never been able to do anything more than a couple of bad karaoke performances at. But yes, things like finding the revolution in you and stuff like that. It's very sort of generic filler text that you'd expect on like one of those motivational posters. It doesn't really do anything except for sort of highlight that maybe the song doesn't really have any core message or emotion. It's just kind of, like I say, it's a bit fillery in the way that it does that. And, the presence of so much English language can both make you accessible, but it can also make it kind of clear when it is your second language that the song doesn't have much of a message. So yeah, I can't help but feel that there were certain poppy elements that came in here that were actually more to its detriment than anything. I felt that they would have probably been better served just sort of going full rock and being, leaning into that side, not really doing the big motivational lyrics and you know, keeping the mix on the more rocky tone and appealing to those more rock fans. It's not like they haven't got some awesome pop songs already down. I love the first two songs. So for me, the rocky elements of this worked better than the elements that will perhaps set them apart and, you know, be the elements that more identify them as being a little bit of an alternative to their peers. So in conclusion, how does this marry? Well, as I say, I think this is probably gonna be more appealing to the rockier fans, and that's not a bad thing. I don't think it goes all the way into the sort of rocky territory that they feel like it go into, and yet it's got it. There's some great things like in the pre-chorus, how the time signature sort of backs out, and you get some dropped beats in there where the bars are sort of rotating around quicker, and in layman's terms, it basically makes everything sound a little bit like it's skipping along before it gets into the chorus. There's some interesting little timing things like that, which definitely feel more akin to what you'd expect from a hard rocking band who want to do something interesting and musically challenging to a certain degree. It has, like I said, the energy from the lead singer, and it has some great performances on the guitars. This is a song that I feel is going to really appeal more to the harder rock fans, and yet that's why I feel they could have lent more into that. But there's nothing really wrong with that. It does work. I don't know necessarily. I would love to know from you guys in the comments as always what you think, how it appeals to you, if you're more of a hard rock fan or whether you're maybe more into them for the more poppy aspects. I just feel like maybe it's a little bit lost between those two areas, not quite getting the most out of either or committing enough to either. It feels a little bit like a middle ground. It feels like something that a Love Bites or a Nemophila fan would enjoy but would not take, sort of the first listen when they put it in their headphones every day. It feels like something that maybe one of the fans of them poppy songs would enjoy, however at the same time perhaps feel that maybe it wasn't quite catchy enough. It's a bit of a middle ground song. It's good, but it's not as good as the songs I'd heard previously from them. And the music video as well kind of enters this space as well. It's very sort of hard rocking. It looks very hard rocking. And yet at the same time, whereas you look at other bands where they're very much sort of just performing, here it felt like I could almost feel like the director was saying, all right, now do this exact move. It felt like the band were being told to perform certain moves to look a certain way. It just kind of felt like an unholy marriage of things that could have worked better together than they actually did. So yeah, I liked it. It's not going to come up above their previous two songs for me though. I'm glad to see them doing multiple things. I'm glad to see that they are experimenting with different sounds. I'm still glad that they exist as just a fantastic alternative to other bands who are around at the moment. I'm really looking forward to hearing more of them. There's a lot of talent there. Just for me, this was not a song that quite landed with as much punch as I think it needed to. It didn't quite have its goals set out, but it's all right. It's good. It's fun. I listened to it a few times and I enjoyed it. But I probably won't be rushing back to it. Anyway, there you go. Looking forward. Lonesome Blue have actually got their new album coming out that I will definitely be covering. They've been announcing that I think that's going to come out very soon actually, because they dropped a teaser or something just a few hours ago. So there'll be more Lonesome Blue, I'm sure, and there'll be more honesty on this channel as always. Get in the comments, tell me what you think, and until I hopefully see you very soon in Japan for the next one of these. For now, ciao ciao.